session, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have the clerk call the roll to establish a quorum.
Cox. Gora.
Here.
Natale. Dickinson.
Here.
Yee.
Here.
Kurth. Shelby. Waters.
Here.
Colin.
Oh, Colin, yes. I'm so used to hearing I'm here. I'm so used to hearing Steve Cohn's name called.
I know. We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Okay, I need to read a statement. This meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission is being videotaped in its entirety and will be cablecast without interruption on Metro Cable 14, the Government Affairs channel on the Comcast cable system. Today's meeting is being brought cablecast live, and then it'll be repeated Saturday, September 5th at 12 p.m. And I think that means noon, doesn't it? On Channel 14. And also a VHS copy of this meeting will also be available for checkout from any of your library branches. I also have to remind you that if you're here to speak on any of the agenda items, you need to fill out a speaker form, which you can find probably on that back table, and turn it in to the clerk, because we do need to know if you wish to be heard on any items. And you'll see it has room for your name and address, etc. Okay, and with that, we will go right into the first agenda items, which item 1.
I want to read the item, or I'll just take it from there. This is, good afternoon, first off. When you approved the budget in June, you authorized a 10% increase to the community programming budgets, subject to a specific budgetary authorization within each of your grantees. So this is an opportunity today for you to briefly hear from your grantees what they will do with the collective increase of $135,000. At the same time, if you'd like, it might be an opportunity for the grantees to update you briefly on their activities. I can tell you that relative to the increase of about $23,000 to Metro Cable, that has gone or will go to the Equipment Reserve Fund automatically, and none of that can be spent. Right now, that fund is a little over $200,000. None of that can be expended without specific authorization from you. And as we've talked before, we're building our master plan. So as Metro 14 is one of your community entities, that's its report. With that, I recommend that you use the little green things and hear from your grantees.
Yeah, a whole bunch of
Green people.
Okay, now I think, though, that several of them are speakers for access, and so maybe they're going to consolidate that, or? Okay, Ron, you want to come up first then, Ron Cooper?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi.
I waited at the last minute to put my tie on.
You
It
would.
is
This
warm.
weather's not great.
Really. As I understand it on the agenda today, we have about 10 minutes to both present an overview of the proposal that we're putting before you, and it's included in your packet, for the one-time 10% increase to our budget and how we plan to expend those funds. And seek your support of those efforts. And then the second part of the presentation would be an update in terms of Access Sacramento activities since last we met, and also some 2 projects in particular that are coming up in the next couple of months that we look forward to reporting back to you about. So first things first, on the proposal for the increase to our budget. 2.5 years ago, the Access Sacramento Board, which is a policy-making board of volunteers, 15 folks, got together for a day-long retreat and put together a 5-year plan and listed very specific policy directions for staff and the volunteers to provide guidance to us. And in January of this year, halfway into the 5-year plan, we did an update of where we are as far as those directions and how are we doing and what further do we need to do. It was at that time that the items that you see on our proposal, again, it's in your packet, were identified as specific directions that the board would like staff and volunteers to direct their efforts at, particularly in the coming year. And so I listed those for you there because I think they're extremely important in consideration of what we plan to do with these much appreciated additional funds in the coming year. Those specific directions from the board were to basically do greater outreach to nonprofit organizations and groups through a variety of mechanisms, public forums, training programs specific to groups and organizations instead of targeting individual registrations, to continue to seek improvements to our production facilities, especially in accommodating these training requirements, do everything we can to be user-friendly to community groups. Again, folks are not accustomed to making television, radio, and website design, so user-friendly has always been important. To specifically seek out more corporate and community partnerships, building on those that we've already established and adding new ones, which leads to alternative and diversified funding. To develop more experienced volunteer crews and to coordinate those perhaps more effectively with nonprofits in need of production crews. And finally, to expand media coverage and achieve greater public awareness, particularly of the Channel 7374 placement, and that this is the place to go to as far as local community events and local community voices. Consistent with our theme this year, Access Sacramento makes a difference one voice at a time. Based on these policy directions, then, the board at its July 16th meeting approved the following budget allocations, expending the monies designated, a total of $60,901. The details are before you, but just very briefly, to coordinate and more effectively use our volunteer group and to expand that group of trained technicians, and to particularly outreach to nonprofit groups and try to coordinate the two organizations more effectively than we've been able to do in the past. We would use the funding for a volunteer and community outreach coordinator. This would be a person who feels very comfortable public speaking, very comfortable with our volunteer community, which can be very diverse, so has to have good people skills, but also can go to noon luncheons of the Kiwanis Club or the Junior League and make presentations about our services and assist me then in putting those volunteers together with those groups desirous of doing productions. Consistent with our efforts to seek underwriting and corporate sponsorships, we would increase the current line items for underwriting and promotions by bringing in a specific person with skills in commercial media, but with a sensitivity to the non-commercial marketplace, particularly because we are so broad in our appeal. We do television, we do radio, we do internet radio, and we do web page design for ourselves and other nonprofit organizations. Over the summer we added a community calendar. So we really cover the gamut. So it takes a person with special skill and ability to approach businesses and present all that we do. As another item, we would keep the Coloma Center open for production activities on Saturday evenings. Currently we close at 6. Technically the building closes at 4, so this helps the city of Sacramento at Coloma allow us to be in the building. We only use one hallway, and the problem has been fear of people coming into an open building and going throughout the building rather than specifically to Access Sacramento. So those funds would help us to stay open in hours where the building would normally be closed without hiring additional security guards. And then finally, the remainder amount would in effect double our line item for promotions and advertising, or what we refer to as paid media. Obviously, we utilize our channels and frequencies, With the help of Comcast Cable, we've been able to use their avails on other cable systems to draw audiences to our channels. But the cost of ads in the B or news and review or radio time is considerable. So this would go a long ways to help with that paid media budget. That concludes my summary. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, questions? Okay, thanks, Ron.
All right. Would you like me to continue with the rest report, or do you want to just do the budget item first?
How long is it going to take? Because we got a lot of speakers today, and you've got two other people. You've got Kenneth Noel and Margaret Park.
Right.
Are they both on budget?
No, they're not about budget. So we're going to do that separate?
Yeah, where, do they have them listed separately?
They are listed separate. I raised the option for you to
Why don't
clear
we do
everything.
it separately? Because we've got other budget items, I mean, we've got other items too. Okay.
And thank you again for your
Thanks.
consideration. Appreciate it.
Now, so they'll appear later, correct? Okay. The only other one here on budget, I assume, is Penny. I don't have any of the other grantees signed up. We do have their budgets in front of us, though. Hi, Penny.
Good afternoon. I'm happy to be here today. It's air conditioned and it's very nice in here.
Yes.
Yes. And I'll be doing budget, and I'll also do the other part because it's approximately 5.5 minutes and it's very short. So we'll do it together if that's okay with you. Yeah.
Well, let me ask one question first, because are any of the other grantees here to make presentations today? Okay, they are not. So Penny, we'll go ahead and you do that, and then we'll have Ron
All right,
bring
fine.
the other two people back and
Okay.
finish off. Okay.
During our short time today, I would like to share with you a video that explains about SECC's proposal plan for the expenditure of the one-time grant augmentation. As you know, during the past 13 years, SECC has been building an extensive educational service for Sacramento. As a result of the cable funds that you have committed to education and the major contribution of the educational community, SECC currently is offering programming on its 2 educational channels as well as a multitude of other cable-related services. And you do have the program today. We've given you the program for the September courses. So before we explain our plans for next year, which will only take a very short time, we'd like you to take a look at a short comprehensive video, which is about 4.5 minutes.
Thanks, Penny. That's a great picture.
There should be audio with this.
Hopefully. Where's the audio? Cable.
Oh, guys.
Go back to the start.
Here it's back there.
They can hear it, and we can't hear it. Okay. That does happen out here more than once.
Hold on. They're not getting audio in the back either, Penny.
They're not?
Get some money to start up.
But double check the
We will share with you that we're going to work on this system, hopefully at the board's break.
Well, technology is wonderful. You know how it works.
We all work at the city, except Joe's farms don't work, guys.
You want to speak to it?
Bless your heart. No, back you come.
That's okay. Yeah, let me go ahead with the what the plans are for the expenditures that we have for the additional funding that we receive as they're working on that. The program plan and the budget builds and expands the services that you have seen, not heard, but seen. The SECC board deliberated on the best use of the one-time grant you allocated to the SECC at your last meeting. We appreciate the extra funding and submit to you for your approval our addendum. Since these are one-time funds, SECC was careful to allocate them in a way which would enhance our services but would not require additional funds in the future. As we reported to you at our last meeting, SECC is working with the Sacramento County Office of Education to create a joint venture production facility, which is brand new, in soon-to-be renovated Sacramento County Office of Education building. A major portion of the grant, $25,000, has been set aside for seed money for that facility. SCOE, which is Sacramento County Office of Education, has committed to this project and will develop plans with SECC during the coming year. The balance of the funds, $6,336, will be used to purchase a computer for the SECC promotional coordinator and to enhance the upgrade SECC's nonlinear editing systems. So again, we thank you for your continued support, and I'd be happy to answer any of those questions. And as far as the facility is concerned at the Sacramento County Office of Education, we will have a studio, which will be a multiple-use studio for all of the districts in Sacramento County that don't have facilities available for them. So we're looking at how we might be able to broaden the scope of cable in the classroom and cable as far as our schools are concerned, K-12. And so if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it. And I don't know whether they came up with the audio, but not necessary.
You did a great job. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye. Thanks.
And I want to indicate that we did receive the budgets from all of the others, so we've had a chance to look at those, even though they're not here. And we might want to act on the budget first, and then hear from the final grantee report. Okay, moved and seconded on the augmentation approval for the items that appear before us on the grantees. We can do that by voice vote, I think. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Okay, unanimous of those present. Okay, Ron, you had a couple of other people to make a presentation this morning. It's afternoon, isn't it?
Again, Ron Cooper, Executive Director of Access Sacramento, and just want to take a few moments in updating the Commission. Since last we met, we've had a very busy summer, and the months ahead are very busy, so I wanted to keep you apprised. I passed out our latest copy of our newsletter and also a document, the Alliance of Community Media, the 98 Western Regional Conference. And I wanted to bring this to your attention because Access Sacramento and the Sacramento Educational Cable Consortium are assisting our sister organization, Sierra Nevada Community Access Television in Reno, to help along with other access organizations in the 6 western states, California, Nevada, Hawaii, Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado, to put on this conference. And there are many of the workshops on the conference that speak to public education and government access, and we wanted to invite Cable Commission members and staff to review the conference. It should be a pretty exciting one with the 17th floor of the Pepper Mill up in Reno. And
You get a good view from there?
a very good view. And lucky it's not during hot August nights, though. So,
Yeah, that's your welcome. Okay.
but so that's just something I wanted to bring to your attention. The summertime has been particularly active with teenagers. This summer, we welcomed back the City of Sacramento Summer Youth Program and providing training to teenagers in our studio, and worked with a nonprofit organization to create programming for it with the help of those teenagers. In addition to, that was the 4th year of that program. In addition, for the first year, we also worked with the La Familia Youth Counseling Organization and did a similar training working with their teenagers to create programming for La Familia. And then the third project of note was, for the first time in our history, we did a teen summer camcorder camp out at the facility at Cosumnes River College. So we used our camcorders and the edit facilities that we helped purchase out at Cosumnes River to have a really great group of kids, and it really worked out well for all involved. At last count, about 4 or 5 of the teenagers now are continuing on with our regular workshops and regular ongoing use of the facility. And that was our intention, was to, during the summer months, get some teens involved, but hopefully that they'll stick with the program, grow with us, and invite their parents and friends as well. We had a very successful picnic just this past month. It's our annual picnic over in William Land Park. Had close to 100 of our volunteer producers and board members and staff members. and a great time. It was enjoyed by everyone. Game of the week is starting up again. We already did the Optimus game out at American River College, the best in the area from last year's senior class. And then Game of the Week this year will continue with best in prep and college football in the area. Then continuing on as we did last year with boys and girls basketball. And this year, for the first time, expanding then into baseball and softball. And we're also talking to a certain professional team in town about continuing it even during the summer months in terms of doing programming, sports programming year-round. A very ambitious project, and we're very happy to see Channel 10 doing more programming about watch your kids on TV. So we think that is the highest form of flattery. We also, in our efforts to expand the media awareness, have a relationship now with News and Review that helps us with our community calendar that I mentioned before, and also helps us in terms of weekly. Now we now have weekly advertising in the News and Review, highlighting different programs each week. So that is what we've been doing during the summer months, but during the next couple of months, two projects are particularly noteworthy, and there are folks here today to speak to them. First, I'd like to invite up Margaret Park, who's a member of our board and also works for the California Department of Education. She's been chairing our SAC Teen Media Project and shepherding a really exciting project that we call the Story Project. Stands for Storytelling and On-Air Reading for Youth. And I think she has a handout and a little description of the progress made so far and what we hope to do in the future.
Thank you, Ron.
Hey.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
I wanted to give you a brief overview of the Story Project with your permission. This is a program that I think has resulted from many of us enjoying storytelling in our youth. As a baby boomer, I'm sure you know, we've been exposed to Sherry Lewis and Romper Room and Howdy Doody and all that. Well, we don't have those shows on television right now for many of us, yes.
On Channel 14 at 7 o'clock on Tuesday. Every Tuesday you have that.
Howdy do.
The Sacramento City Council.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, that's the point
Very
I'm making,
bad,
though.
Mr.
This
Fox.
is for children left at home alone after school.
Oh,
From
great.
3 to 4. So, yes, they have that, too. We want them to watch all of these shows. All right. So in addition to that, we would like them to watch the Story Project because we hope to gather stories from local community groups and especially groups that are perhaps monolingual and have their stories to tell that have never been published. We would like to also, introduce classics and other beautiful works of literature that we can and help parents as well as students learn to love reading. We will include thematic programming, if we can, health and safety issues, cultural diversity, and science, as well as some very just fun, loving kinds of issues that may be interest to young children ages 3 to 12. That's our target population. Our goal is to increase literacy and to encourage them to not just watch the show, but maybe after the show get the book or borrow the book. We will encourage community organizations and businesses to help us develop incentives for children to get these books, either free or low cost, at libraries and bookstores and so on. And we hope to include an online program component so that these stories are available, obviously through computer. We'll also put the stories on video and put them at video stores for free so people can borrow them, and at libraries and schools. The support so far, we only had 4 meetings with a total of 30 members on this committee, but so far we have tremendous interest from the superintendents and, of course, the library directors, as you could imagine. So we feel this will be a real community project in that the filming is done by ROP students who are getting credit and money, right, for doing this. It's being directed by people from the community. It's for them, and it includes them. So it's, I think, just a perfect combination. There'll even be, if we can get that far, a club membership. So you'll be part of the Story Club. And perhaps through that, we can also encourage children to pick up books even at local places where they're just hanging out with their parents, like the waiting rooms of physician offices and so on. Just have book bins so that they want to read and read and read until they can't read anymore. So anyway, that's our goal, is to enjoy reading and love it and want to read as much as possible.
That's wonderful. And you're going to have some volunteer readers that,
Yes, I
yeah, if you get people as animated as yourself, that will really be fun.
Thank
I
you.
think all of us have shared in the experiences of going out to the schools and reading stories. And I think that people who aren't aware of the magnificent amount of really wonderful children's books that are out there, not only are the stories imaginative and wonderful, but I think the illustrations are just marvelous. That are in many schools have these in their libraries, and this would be a great way to introduce them to children. So.
Thank you for reminding me. Yes, the storytellers will come from the community from individuals like yourselves, as well as people who do this for a living and want to do it for free for us.
Mr. Cox, you're a pretty big storyteller.
Great.
Just tell a big story.
I'd be happy to participate. I think that's a great program.
It is wonderful.
We welcome you. We really do.
And there are some marvelous storytellers. When the library sponsors those storytellers, I have gone sometimes with my grandchildren, and there are some marvelous people out there able to really tell stories, even without they don't use the book or anything. They just tell these wonderful stories. And,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And poets.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Poets.
And so it won't be, I think, as academic as it'll be recreational.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
Wonderful. Yeah,
I was just going to say, will they be able to share this with the SECC channel? I was just thinking some of the things that you're doing with educational channel. I mean, if you're storytellers, I mean, I know that it's programmed in the same category of channels, but there's some things there that might be some overlap in working. I see you're having the SCOE students do some of the taping, and so I was just curious as to how there might be some tie-in with
Well,
the...
we would make every effort to tie together.
I'm a librarian, I'll make sure that...
Yeah.
Good
We're all
idea.
thinking of that, Penny.
Good idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
Just to emphasize that point, Access Sacramento is not in the literacy business. This project will only come together based on the ability of those who are in the business of literacy and education and library usage coming together, and that was the nice part about the 4 sessions that we've had so far, was bringing this diverse group of folks together with a common focus of creating this after-school programming. And in fact, 2 organizations in the room today, the Sacramento Educational Cable Consortium and Comcast Cable, have already been very helpful with advice and suggestions. And it's not over with yet. There are some real interesting challenges. For example, copyright may be the central challenge in publishers' reluctance. You say you're going to read a book on television, not with their help you're going to do that. So that's going to be one of the helps, and I've already had conversations with Liz and their experience in terms of doing a similar kind of project. And most certainly it's not just a matter of running the programs on the Ed Consortium. We'd love to see that. I don't think that'll be a problem. But with the Ed Consortium and SCOE and the other educational groups actively involved in the planning and actually follow through with the actual project. The next project that I wanted to bring to your attention is the Sacramento Cinema Festival. For the second year now, Ken Knoll, as the director of the festival, is putting together a great lineup of films over a period of, I think, 9 or 10 days, coming up the end of September. And we are going to be very active in documenting interviews and film clips of some of the key folks that are going to be there. So Ken's here just to speak to that a little bit about the festival itself and also our involvement.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Ron.
Hi.
I have 5 packets. And as Ron mentioned, actually this is our 3rd film festival. We've had 2 other film festivals, and this year's film festival is, and I will be presenting in front of the Board of Supervisors and the City Council, so I'll just keep it brief. But it's September 25th through October 3rd. We, from our past experience, have found that event programming worked best, and we have a whole lineup of event programming. And when we talk about event programming, they're programs where we have films, but we also have the filmmakers and the stars of the films that you can actually ask questions about how the film was made and the troubles that they went through in getting monies to make movies. And for the local film community, that's always an interest. Opening night, we have Rorik Critchlove, who is with Days of Our Lives, has a film that he just produced with his wife and her sister. And we had he was on the Howie Mandel show not too long ago, so they gave a lot of time to the Sacramento Festival of Cinema. They gave the dates, the time, promoted the film festival, and it's a nationally syndicated program, so it was advertising that we couldn't afford to buy, and as a result of it, our internet site is getting a lot of hits. We also have Michael and Peter DeLuise, who are Dom DeLuise's two sons. Michael is in NYPD Blue, and Peter has been in several television programs and films on the opening evening. Saturday, we have the Festival Cine Latino, and what we tried to do is we tried to co-op as many nonprofits and other organizations within the community to help use the festival as a vehicle to promote their organization, promote their message, promote their cause through cinema. And they have a whole program lined up for their Saturday day. Our Sunday program is International Day, and we start the day off with some films from foreign films for kids. And that's an opportunity that a lot of children don't get to see, foreign films that are basically produced for children. We have The Red Balloon and Fairy Tale, A True Story. And then we have 4 films. The evening program, the film for the evening program is a film called The Dress, which is a film that has won several awards. And in your packet, we have a little blurb on that. And on Monday, we have there's a national broadcast of a film called From the Back Alleys to the Supreme Court in Sacramento. It's incorporated into the film festival. On Tuesday, Titanic. Kit Bonner is a local Sacramento County resident. He was the historian on Titanic, and he will do a presentation. And it goes along with people in Sacramento who are involved in the movie industry and trying to promote movie industry up to Sacramento. Kit will do a full presentation on the making of the Titanic, and we'll be showing the Titanic. Modulations is a film that we'll be showing Wednesday night. And Modulations is a documentary that has been touring the world, and it's a documentary on the music industry, or electronic music. On Thursday, we have a very special presentation, and the Observer newspaper is our presenting sponsor, along with the African Film Society. And it's a film called Dry So Long. The filmmaker is Colleen Smith, and Colleen Smith is a Sacramento product who moved to LA, graduated from UCLA Film School. This is her first feature, and she's been highlighted in the Filmmaker magazine, and she's a very promising filmmaker from Sacramento. On Friday, we have Teens Take Hollywood, which is our Tower of Youth Day, and we'll have between 900 and 1,100 high school students that will be at the Crest, who will be participating in a whole series of programs and an evening program. And then our last day is our what we call Being Independent Day, and it's showcasing local filmmakers' works with a closing night and workshops with the closing night films of Conceiving Ada and Roads End. The tie-in to Sacramento, or Access Sacramento, is that as a result of us being able to produce event programming, we'll have an opportunity to use their studio in the box and create a little TV studio there at the festival that will be there throughout the festival. So we'll be interviewing the stars, we'll be interviewing filmmakers, and out of it create probably around 10 hours of programming. And if you have any questions, very important to me is the people who helped me put this together, and that's our sponsors, and the Sundance Channel and Comcast, the Tower Records, and the Downtown Partnership, and the City of Sacramento are all participating. We have a whole list of sponsors but those are our major sponsors, and then the News and Review is our print sponsor.
Sounds great.
Great. Good job, Ken.
Yep, thanks very much.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay.
Concludes our update, and one thing
Ron.
I did want to add, we are going to be at Sacramento Reads, Celebration of Reading, on the last weekend in September, and we'll have a booth there, and we're going to be videotaping selected works, so if Mr. Cox, since he's such a good storyteller, or others would like to join us there.
What day is that? I'll come by.
It's on September 26th and 27th, Saturday and Sunday.
Right here.
Over in Crocker Park.
I better come by.
Great. Look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have none of the other grantees here, so we'll move on to item 2.
We have Comcast Communications Affirmative Action Plan with Ken Fleming as the
Okay,
presenter.
Ken is our presenter on this. Ken is the City of Sacramento's Affirmative Action Officer and usually critiques the affirmative action plan for us each year.
Good afternoon
Thank
to
you.
members of the Commission. It's indeed an honor to again be able to provide you a review of the 97 submission by Comcast of its affirmative action plan. The review is encapsulated in a August 26 correspondence to your executive director, and for purpose of this presentation I'll be brief and just highlight certain aspects of those comments. The report basically reflects that progress has been made, and it still suggests, however, that there is a need for continuous efforts to provide equal employment opportunity. It's my opinion that the program developed by Comcast is specific and result-oriented procedures, and that they have made a good faith effort to accomplish the goals of that program. In terms of the specific areas of submission, I'll just basically cite the recommendations and give some explanation for the making of these recommendations. In the identification of establishment portion, we are recommending that this particular portion be utilized to reaffirm the commitment to affirmative action generally. In submission of or updating of plans, there is a republication of the commitment or the policy statements. And this is a good opportunity to do such reaffirmation. It also provides an opportunity to recommit the organization to the directives and goals of this commission. So we're making a recommendation that that be a component that's included in future submissions. The results of prior plan, the goals that were set, we feel that they are appropriate. We suggest that additional resources should be focused toward local minority media to enhance outreach efforts towards groups that experience underutilization. In the submission, there's a listing of the entities that are currently utilized, and we're just suggesting that in terms of the media that are utilized, that we identify and target minority media, particularly in the areas of office clerical and sales where Hispanic and Asians are underutilized. It would be advisable to use minority media targeted toward these groups to enhance our outreach and recruitment.
Ken, I didn't understand that when on the back it says year to date, it says underutilizations exist for Hispanics in the crafts category and for Asians in all categories with the exception of office clerical.
Yes.
So when you say office clerical over here, you mean it refers more to Hispanic than it does to Asian in this first?
In the first section, we're looking at the prior plan.
Oh, okay, I see.
And
Right.
in the other section, we're looking at the goals that were established for the coming year.
The coming year. Okay, thank you.
Okay. The job availability utilizations are appropriate. They have changed somewhat from the ones from previous year. It may be advisable in those areas, again, of crafts where Hispanics are underutilized, and for Asians in all of the categories, with the exception of office clerical, that we look at developing gender and ethnic specific goals. The goals as they're established are ethnic and then gender for females as a whole. Sometimes when the underutilizations exist, it may be appropriate to develop specific goals. For instance, as opposed to a goal for Hispanics, it may be more appropriate in an office clerical category to set a goal for Hispanic males, because Hispanic females may be at parity. So in areas where that may exist, it may be a consideration to develop gender and ethnic specific goals. Under the area where we talk about identification of problem areas, again, most of the suggestions mentioned by Comcast are appropriate as it relates to applicant flow, recruitment. We again are suggesting developing additional sources to target unutilized groups.
Ken, could you answer on something on that one? Because
yes,
if the underutilized groups, particularly in the technical category, continue to be females, and that might be females regardless of ethnic background, then why, I wonder, or do they show that they have ever taken up, I mean, year after year we have asked them to coordinate with, for instance, SETA, which does a lot of training of women in non-traditional areas and in technical areas, and yet year after year the same problem comes up as it relates to females. So there are a lot of training programs out there, so I don't know whether there hasn't ever been the connection made, and that's something we can ask Ruth about again, but you know, that's an area that always shows up.
Yes, that is an area that we do have problems in. Some cases, non-traditional areas. I know there have been some efforts to target groups. The organization has worked particularly with the Urban League. I think in some cases they're working to revise some contacts in those areas. One of the recommendations that we have made, and they're similar to some industries where maybe you cannot specifically identify entities that can provide qualified individuals for that. In that case, what we were suggesting in our recommendations is they may want to look at developing something in the nature of a career development concept or an apprentice type program where you, in essence, grow your own or develop some type of relationship with an organization such as you're mentioning, whereby they could develop specific programs that would provide training to develop the skill sets that are needed particularly for these particular groups. So that is a recommendation that we made in this plan, and as you mentioned, being a reoccurring issue, it may be something that we want to look at. Okay. As it relates to hiring and selection, again, we're suggesting that some of the areas which have shown adverse impact, that we continue to monitor those areas, and if the adverse impact continues to exist, it may be necessary to take a closer look to determine what specific aspects of the process are causing adverse impact, and then develop either training programs or specific strategies to address those areas so that adverse impact can be eliminated. As it relates to terminations, again, the report indicated some adverse impact for minorities, and I would also suggest that it's also advisable to continue to monitor those processes. And again, the information obtained from monitoring may be used to develop programs. Many times in programs, it's very difficult to make progress when it's a revolving door, when you're making the outreach efforts. However, the level of terminations erodes the advancements that you're able to make. So this is a critical component, and we would just recommend continuing monitoring that particular aspect. It may also be advisable, as we mentioned earlier, with the new goals that are set, to consider specific goals that may be ethnic and gender related. All in all, we feel that Comcast has made a good faith effort to accomplish the goals that and directives of its program, and we are requesting that you would accept this item and receive it for file. If there are any additional questions?
No. One additional question, and maybe again I should ask Ruth when she comes up, but that is, in terms of the termination, is there any effort made that you know of to do any, well, I was going to say exit interviews if people leave themselves, or if there's if it's performance based.
The report indicated that they do exit interviews, and the information did not indicate there was a problem. inherently in those types of processes, people are sometimes not forthright because they may want to move on and not want to make any comments that could prevent them from doing that. So in many cases, exit interviews are not an effective organ to really ascertain if there may be a problem there. They also noted that in terms of their termination processes, there is a added level of review. Again, that's why we are suggesting, because in their comments they noted that in those processes that are in place now to kind of safety nets to review that particular process, they did not note that there were any issues that came forward that would indicate that the actions taken were for any reason other than valid reasons. But we would, again, recommend that continued monitoring of those particular areas may indicate a need for some areas of training where perhaps individuals are falling short there and therefore falling out of the system, or a need to sensitize managers to be more accommodating in working with those problem areas. But as the information, again, was provided, their reviews did not reflect from exit interviews or a review of the process that there were any problems.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. We have a couple of people who also wish to be heard. Is it May? It's okay. It is Mary Ann. Okay, Mary Ann Bell Holmes. Right. I have a difficult time trying to figure out if that's an I or a Y.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be in front of you again this afternoon. To thank Mr. Fleming for his remarks, and we do accept his proposals. I have spoken with Mr. Fleming on a couple of occasions. Just a couple of comments. Let's see if I can get my notes together. Just as an update, we had noted during our last report that one of our outreach efforts needed to continue in the area of Hispanics and minorities, Hispanics and Asians in particular. I am happy to report that at least since May of this year to date, of the 38 hires that we have accomplished, 3 of those have been Asian Americans, 6 Hispanic, and 9 African American. And we had actually a very successful open house yesterday at our facility where we had about 300 plus applicants. We haven't finished the tally yet, who were there seeking employment as call center representatives and as field service representatives. And we had a very diverse group, and we're very happy with the turnout. And we're still, at this point, counting resumes and going through the screening process. So hopefully we will be able to continue in our affirmative action efforts. As we've noted before, affirmative action is really an ongoing process that never ends. And I've been with Comcast for about 18 months now. It is our intent to continue in this process. I'd like to report also, in particular, Ms. Collins, you referenced the CETA organization. We do send all of our job openings to the CETA organization, as well as several others. In addition, we have started to do some one-on-one work with the Sacramento County Department of Human Assistance. They have a job talk program that's specifically geared towards welfare to work applicants. We are also working with the Sacramento Job Corps and SOAR, the Sacramento Occupational Advanced Resources Group. So we have begun to do more outreach efforts, particularly with community groups who are working with at-risk applicants or potential employees. So we will continue on in those efforts. And as far there were some comments about our terminations. Again, we provide information on all of our activities, and statistically, sometimes those numbers give the impression that there is adverse impact. We do pay a lot of attention to all of our terminations, particularly for protected class individuals. There are several levels of review prior to any terminations taking place, and we are very comfortable in the fact that there are actually no adverse impact which takes place. So we do want to assure the board that that is a fact. We do pay very close attention to that. Okay.
I was the reference I made to SETA was particularly in the area of technicians and women.
Correct.
And if that is a category that year after year continues to show, you know, we don't seem to be able to attract people in.
It is a very difficult process. Yeah. We again, Mr. Fleming had a very good idea. We hope to expand some of our staff next year to be able to do some of these things, but It's very difficult to attract women for that particular classification. We will continue our efforts to do that. And you mentioned CETA before. We have contacted that group as well.
Perhaps what you need to do, they run specifically, SETA doesn't run a lot of programs itself, but does through operators, and almost every operator you mentioned is one of the operators under the SETA program. And but one of the specific programs they have is directed towards women moving into non-traditional fields, and there are operators who do training programs in those areas if they know what your job qualifications are, what kind of training that you require, and you make those linkages with them, because there's demand, occupation profiles, etc., that they look at. But if the linkages aren't being made in terms of, you don't find them referring people over, or the programs that are operating and doing the training aren't referring people over, then somehow there's a disconnect between the type of training that's being offered and what you're requiring.
Correct.
And that's where we really need the linkage.
And that effort needs to continue. I do acknowledge that. Okay, great.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Stinson?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for allowing me to come back today. On I think it was June 14th, I addressed this body about what I consider to be some unprofessional experience that Dr. Lee and I experienced with Cablecast. And I am not going into each of those today, but I thought very clearly told you or given you some of the experiences. Since that time, there has been no effort that I know of to correct that, no overtures or anything. So because of the extent that we felt that we were offended in those efforts, wanted us to come back to this body today.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, I recall you were here last month,
right,
or last meeting.
June.
And you say you've had no contact with the Comcast people at all since then?
No.
Okay, then I think I have to question Ms. Blank on a couple of questions.
Okay. So this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Lee.
Thank you, Chairman Collin. It's nice that you all provide this refuge from the heat today. Let me just add to what Mr. Stinson had said, that we're deeply concerned with this franchise, its efforts for outreach. I've been in this community a long time, and I don't think I've witnessed the kind of unprofessional response that they've shared with, as Mr. Stinson shared with you last time with us. I think you all know that the Observer serves as well as a source for the community, the underserved community. We've been the principal media for the African American community for the last 35 years. And to stand here really to say this is kind of gets my grain, because in most cases our experiences has been very professional with those agencies of any nature that has a relationship with the public. And certainly this one does. The history of this organization we have shared with, we've seen this franchise being granted. We experienced help with earlier efforts, as you all perhaps know, of even frankly writing some of the historical information on what a franchise should be about in this community. So to have had the experiences we've had, no relationship, no professional contact, to say there's outreach, and to see even the report of affirmative action that literally talks about goals and directions, but it really indicates an area of quotas too, because again, if there are African Americans who are desperately in need of jobs, who are being overlooked, it indicates again a overlook of very responsible community. I don't have to tell you that there's a need for jobs in this community. We all witnessed the experience that Cal Expo had when they had the tremendous response to opportunities for jobs that the state was providing. So there are needs, and but primarily there are needs in areas of very entry level and areas that perhaps in some cases Comcast provides opportunities. In the technical areas, this also applies as well. So we really are urging you to monitor this franchise very carefully, because we sense, honestly, there's an underutilization of community institutions like the Observer, frankly, that really serve to better the community, to reach the audiences that are underserved, and we would really urge you to put them to the task. We've not had any relationship. I don't know why. We've extended our arms, and I honestly have to tell you, I personally feel we have been really insulted. We've made appointments professionally, we've responded professionally, and we've not gotten the kind of response back. So we urge you to look very carefully at this report. Whatever jurisdiction this commission has in areas of moral suasion, we urge you to utilize in other areas as well. But truly, we're deeply hurt on our relationship with this agency. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I wasn't here last meeting. So are you talking about the Observer's relationship with Comcast?
We're talking about the Observer's relationship with Comcast. We have made a number of efforts just to talk with the leadership of the agency. We've been insulted in doing that. We've contacted some of the political leaders. I recall one instance, and this goes back. We've shared this with some of the leaders. We've tried to resolve it before getting to a public entity of this nature, but nothing's been done. So the insult has been, to answer your question, Supervisor Cox, has been truly an Observer insult, and manifested through its publisher and Mr. Stinson and so forth.
Help me out then with how you believe this board has the responsibility or the jurisdiction to mediate a dispute between Comcast, a public entity, and the Observer, a private entity. How does this board have the jurisdiction?
You only have moral suasion, as I sense, very honestly. It's no question about, I think we all know that this franchise has had a number of difficulties in terms of discriminatory suits over the history of this organization. And so you can look at that just very candidly and be suspicious just of that, and leading forth the resolution of that. We simply say that they're not honestly out making the outreach efforts to utilize entities like the Observer. So in that sense, this body can only hopefully provide the kind of moral suasion, the kind of leadership that you would like to see manifested, and maybe you have some other answers to that as well. But I see that as a principal way of doing it. You have the bully pulpit at this case, I think, to influence them to do some things that they may or may not be desirous of doing. It's a good community relationship to have a good outreach effort with entities, I think, like ours. And I think you can embellish on that as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Don.
Yeah, Bill, just a question then, because I want to be clear that, because I think you stated very clearly that, you feel that the Observer, as well as yourself, publisher, and your staff have been insulted. I want to understand that with the outreach that you believe you've made through yourself and others, that is this taken for me to understand that they're not providing for paid advertising, they're not publishing information regarding job opportunities in the paper, whether it's paid or otherwise? I'm trying to get some.
We have no marketing relationship at all. No,
okay.
To answer your question,
yeah.
But there was a day, interestingly enough, you mentioned the marketing side, that under previous leadership, the Observer and this agency and Comcast was seriously doing some joint ventures together. So it's not a matter of marketing. I think what I'm looking for more than that is just a relationship.
Okay.
We have none of that. There's no communication.
So no dialogue,
No dialogue. I mean,
Yeah.
if someone had come to your body before and said something about the observer as an example, there is no way in a month's time that we wouldn't have gotten in touch with that person to try to resolve whatever differences there are. It's reflective. I think that's the kind of relationship we have with this kind of body. As to why not, I don't know, because it was raised before this body last time.
So let me be clear and understanding. Over the period of 6 weeks since Joe was here last, there's been, or almost 7 weeks, I guess. There has been no contact, no
Not
telephone conversation, no meeting set up, no.
Not even a hello.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, as to the other issue on the affirmative action plan that Ken presented, do we have any further action to take on that? Or? Okay.
Receive and file was the staff recommendation.
Okay, I know that we have Ruth signed up to speak, so.
Yeah, I think, Madam Chair, it would be useful to help from Ruth. I have a couple of questions. I'm sure that Mr. Lee, Dr. Lee, and Mr. Stinson don't appear here once, let alone twice, lightly. And it is of great concern to me that they feel that this issue and the relationship has deteriorated to the point that there isn't one, particularly given the fact that this publication is a primary source of contact with a community that we're trying to make sure has a full and adequate opportunity at employment as well as the other assets that apply to Comcast. So.
Yeah, and I was trying to put that in a broader context when Ruth came up, because in the context of the affirmative action plan, in terms of the results of the 1997, it was just mid-year. When they talked about a lot of the context that they had made, and even if you looked at the results of what Ken had presented, one of the things that I was a little concerned about was just in terms of all the contacts that they had made, if you look at the two areas where there is underutilization, underrepresentation, Hispanic and Asian, I would just indicate that I would also have some questions about that, as well as with the Observer, in terms of, I don't see any of the Asian publications, and there are a lot of them in this community. And there is the one, Women in Business, there's the Black Employment Journal, as well as Saludos Hispanos and the EEO Journal. And I think that when we talk about the community outreach and relationships, we need to, if Comcast isn't already aware, we need to make them much more aware than of many of the publications that do exist in the community, that do target audiences that they're trying to hit.
Well, and that is exactly the context with the reference here to those publications that have been used. And my conclusion, I think, it was the same as yours, that that's a fairly limited universe.
Yeah, it is, and I took that to mean that this universe was the one they were using just in terms of outreach, in terms of employment and jobs. And you're right when you look at it that, but I think the Observer is talking in even a much bigger context, and I'm sure some of the other publications are too. So Ruth, when she comes up to make her report, can maybe deal with some of that. Okay, we're on that section of the agenda then, where we move to agenda item 3, which is where we hear from Comcast. Okay. Yes.
Receive and file.
Yeah. We didn't have to take any formal action, but it's just a receive and file.
Well, actually, I had planned just to take a minute of your time today to update you on our progress with our digital cable, which we launched a couple of months ago. But I do want to respond just briefly to what Mr. Stinson and Dr. Lee said, because I have to admit, a little baffled, because we have met with Mr. Stinson and Dr. Lee. We met with them less than a year ago in my office, and had a meeting, and we're anticipating a proposal, and have not seen a proposal. And also at the last commission meeting, I know Marion Bell Holmes invited Mr. Stinson to come talk to her, about outreach efforts. So honestly, I have to say that normally we are approached by media who want us to place advertising with us, and we were anticipating a call from the Observer, and so that's why nothing has transpired since then. And I welcome an appointment with them, either to talk about marketing advertising or outreach advertising. And I have my calendar here, and I'm prepared to set up an appointment today. But we have met with them, and we have invited them. And Marion, as I said, did invite them after the last meeting to come speak with us.
Okay, did you want to ask a question on that first? We'll deal with
Yes,
that
yes.
issue first, and then tell us about the
Okay.
digital.
I I'm racking my memory trying to remember if it was on the record, on the tape. If so, I was going to review it today, but I didn't have an opportunity. Or if you and I chatted after last meeting. But what you told me, paraphrasing, that's not the whole story. There's more to it than that. And I said, well, would you please try to resolve this, at least call them? And you said, I will take care of it. And now I'm hearing testimony that's been 6 or 7 weeks. That there's been no contact by you. When you assured me, they're on the record or afterwards when I met with you, this is very upsetting to me, and they're shaking their head that when you said they've met in your office. Have you met in your office or not?
She talked about a year ago.
A year
About
ago.
a year ago, not these last 2 months.
Okay, well, that's at that point, it's a moot issue, but I'm very upset that you told me you would take care of this, and here we are 7 weeks later, and they've had no, at least they're saying, have you contacted them, or were you waiting for them to call you? Because I asked you to call them because of the allegations they made against you last time, and you said you would, and you didn't?
No, I haven't made contact with them, but I am happy to, and I do have my calendar here today, and we can
testified last
set
time.
up an appointment.
Just so I'm requesting that you do initiate a meeting with these two gentlemen, that you initiated.
I'm prepared to do that this afternoon.
Fine, thank you. Move on.
Okay. Okay. The only other question I had, Ruth, regarded not just the good contact with the Observer, which is a weekly, and I think you're aware of that publication. Mm-hmm. But that there are a lot of other publications, and perhaps at some point you can just give us some sort of report on how you do contact and do outreach to get to some of the areas, because in terms of the affirmative action report, that's a very limited amount of publications given the type of diversity we have in this community, and given that there are a lot of weekly publications that I'm aware of. Now, some of those are not in the English language, but many of them in the Asian community are in the English language, as well as in Chinese or Japanese or Vietnamese. And I would think that if you don't have those lists, then we should get those lists to you of the
we can provide you a list at the next meeting if you like.
Okay, Marion could do that of the publications you're aware of, and how we're going to work that out to get the message out better with all of them.
Mr. Fleming has provided me with an in-depth list, and we will take a look at that list. And I will again say to the board that I was in front of this board about a year ago. I've been with this company for about a year and a half, and we are still working on our affirmative action programs and policies. Mm-hmm. This is not an excuse. It is just reality. You're looking at the first probably full report that we've made to you. We will continue to increase our outreach efforts. But if you look at our results, we think that we have a very diverse workforce. We're very proud of our workforce, and we really do a lot of work in this community. I need to expand that outreach list. I'm well aware of that. We speak about it often. There's so many things that we have to do. So this is not an excuse. It's just to let you know that we are going to look at those things, and we will continue to try to, in fact, we will continue to improve our affirmative action efforts. We do a lot of things in the community. We participate in all of the job fairs, and so there are a multitude of arenas where you go and you look for diverse applicants, and we participate in most of those arenas here in Sacramento. Again, at our last meeting, I did give Mr. Vincent my card and invited him to give me a call because I said we do need to improve on our advertising, and I would love to speak with him and have someone on my staff who handles advertising for job placements to meet with him. I did not hear from him, but we will go ahead and initiate that call ourselves and get that started. Okay, that's the pleasure of the board.
Tony?
Suggestion was made that they report back to us at our next meeting, and I'm sure we're contemplating not meeting until December. So that won't work. My feeling is that they should report back to our executive director within 30 days, so at least we have some information back, because this is dragging on a little bit too long.
I'd second that idea.
Yeah, that would be fine, because Rich could then get any written material to us.
Madam Chair, can I just add, while Ruth is
Yeah, don't run away,
at the
Ruth.
podium,
We're still going to hear about digital, but we want to get our questions answered on this.
I perceive there's also a broader context to this beyond just marketing, job recruitment, that specific topic. Obviously, Comcast occupies a very significant role, a significant place in this community by virtue of being the purveyor of most of the primary forms of information and entertainment that people receive on a regular basis. And it seems to me that the issue raised is one certainly of specific concern to minority communities, but it is one of the community as a whole, that there be, in effect, a two-way dialogue between Comcast and the community, by which Comcast informs the community of what it has in mind that may be of interest, and there's an avenue by which the community can inform Comcast of what it sees as needs and strengths and weaknesses and the like. I believe that that's part of what Dr. Lee is talking about, that it goes well beyond the idea of advertising placements and dollars, but speaks particularly to that dialogue or that line of communication being two-way between Comcast and the community. I think that's a very important element for Comcast to work at, recognizing that there's a limited extent to which Comcast obviously can affect what is presented by those who use the channel capacity, but there is a role and there is an ability that Comcast does have by choices of what it presents and other means to speak to different parts of our community in a meaningful way. So I think that's part of what's being raised here, and I think is a very significant topic for the constant attention of Comcast.
Well, I certainly agree with you, and I want to assure you that we have very open ears and, very often open wallets to the community. We're very, very involved in a multitude of community events and major sponsors of many events, and we have made many community events possible. And I would also be happy to, on a regular basis in all of our meetings, bring an update of the community outreach we've done and the events that we've participated in or supported. The list is so long that I've kind of avoided that, but I think that if that's something you're interested in, I'd be happy to provide you with that, because we are very, very involved in the community. We have staff dedicated to that, and it's just...
Given that the issue's been raised, I think that at least in some written form that isn't hopefully too onerous to produce, it might be useful to share that
I'd be happy to do that on a regular basis, sure.
Some of us who are old timers remember the idea of community ascertainment back in the pre-historic period for electronic media, and I sense that that's part of what is being raised here. Is that's gone by the boards pretty much as a formal requirement of the FCC, but that's really the essence of, I think, a large part of what's being discussed here.
Okay, all through? Okay.
Well, actually, I only have one sentence to tell you about digital cable. We have launched it. It has been wildly successful. We haven't marketed it yet we've installed 2,000 customers just based on some press we've gotten in word of mouth. So we
You mean
expect it to
2,000
be...
customers have digital TVs already?
No, it's a digital box that we provide. It's not a digital TV.
So we don't have to buy a new
high
television?
definition television. No, this is that we provide about 150 channels over digital cable box. And about 2,000 customers now have that digital cable box.
150 channels. How many are home shopping?
No more home shopping than there was. And in fact, well, yes, no more home shopping than there was previously. But that's really all I have to say. So.
Are you charging, is it a matter for information of our subscribers? Is it a matter of your subscribers? Is it a matter of just calling and asking to be converted to the digital?
No, there is a charge, and we have disclosed the charge to customers. It's a $9.95 a month charge, and for the $9.95, it includes the digital box. So whatever current box you have, you no longer need. So it's $9.95 less whatever you're already paying for a box, and you get.
Is it $9.95 plus whatever you've been paying?
Yes. Less whatever you were paying for the box.
I understand. Okay.
And does that mean that you get all 150 channels?
Well, if
I can't imagine
actually
150
what
channels.
it does is if you're an HBO customer, for example, you now get 3 channels. With the digital box, you get 9. If you're a Cinemax customer, you get 1 channel. With the digital box, you get 7.
What would I do with them
And you
all?
get 40 channels of digital CD quality music as well, and a very amazing navigator, which is a different kind of channel guide that lets you query the guide about what you would like to see and what's on.
Ruth, I have one, Madam Chair. Can I just ask one question? I had if the dog ate your
Oh, what did he eat? Your
this is
your channel changer?
This is a constituent question.
I bet it is.
If the dog ate your channel changer,
yes.
Can you receive a new channel changer in the mail, or do you have to go pick one up?
We send them out in the mail.
Charge you double.
That kind of an excuse, you would charge double.
It's one of those big stories.
My dog is so well mannered he would not do that. But
It is a common occurrence.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
So you mail them out,
We do. Yeah.
and then you put it on their bill. They send you the check. Because it's an exchange. It's a free exchange. You take one in and get another one back.
Very often we just mail them out. Yeah.
Where does constituent live at, Dave?
The constituents in the 4th Supervisorial District. I take care of the people in your district. I take care of mine.
Does that dog answer when you call him?
No, it doesn't. I like to try to put this on my dog, but it's not mine. My dog is very capable of eating one of those, and more than one. But he's very well mannered, and this doesn't happen to be my dog that I'm talking about.
I understand.
I just wanted to
Protesting
know.
too much?
And every time he sits down, what, the channel changes? Is that what happens, or what? Scratches?
I'm just trying to figure out what the procedure is. I'll advise my client accordingly.
Your client, yeah.
Okay, any more questions on digital?
Book 1, digital.
No. Okay, thanks. And we're counting on somehow everybody getting together in the interim. Okay. We have item 4 is our meeting schedule.
Yes, ma'am. The staff report is fairly straightforward. We have schedule conflicts primarily triggered by the city in October and November. October, I believe, is the League of Cities Conference. November is elections. Our agenda looks relatively clean. We always have the option of staff recommending to the chair to call a special meeting. For the recommendation is that you set your next meeting for December. I believe it's December 3rd.
Okay.
December what?
December 3rd. And we have a resolution attached which
moved.
would cancel and we'll meet in December 3rd instead. Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously of those present. And the only item we have left is items to be heard, unless you had a report.
Stop's okay.
We have one
Okay.
speaker.
We do have a speaker on the public opportunity to discuss matters not on the agenda, but within our jurisdiction, and that's Sandra Eddy.
I believe that Ron also has to speak on 5. You might check his card.
Okay, go ahead, Sandra.
Hi, my name is Sandra Eddy. I'm Vice President of Marketing for Recovery Network, and I do have some handouts, if that's appropriate to moment. I have to admit this is a little unconventional for me, so pardon my nervousness, and I know everybody's in a hurry to get out of here, so I'll try to make this quick. Just wanted to bring you up to speed on some of the activities that I've been up to in the community. And yes, this is an unconventional approach for a network to try to gain carriage on a cable system. Several months ago, I did meet with Comcast about carriage opportunities on the system. And as you all know, even with 150 channels, unless you're a digital channel, you're not going to find much shelf space in the analog world, and we are an analog cable television channel. So when I met with Ruth, we tried to go through the potential opportunities for carriage for my network, and she suggested that I go to Access Sacramento, who may have some carriage opportunities for us. And just what is us? In the 3 pages that I gave you, it's pretty detailed. The content consideration letter will give you an idea of our programming, and then the 3rd page is the schedule of our actual programming. And just to cut to the chase, what we are is a 4-hour-a-day cable television programming service. We're free of charge, and essentially the programming that we offer, we believe provides invaluable tools to affect positive lifestyle changes through a variety of programs. Our network does not endorse one particular method for recovery from drugs, alcohol, and other behavioral disorders, but we do offer television viewers choices. All of these types of programming have been proven to be effective in various situations. In addition to programming on recovery, we do also have programming that's prevention-oriented, and that programming is geared towards the youth of our country. And really, basically, just in conclusion, what we're doing now is working with Access Sacramento, making sure that we comply with all the rules and regulations of Access Sacramento to be able to air our 4 hours of programming on one of their channels. And basically, as I said, I'm here to bring you up to speed on our efforts so that you know that, we are forthcoming with information about who we are, and what we're trying to accomplish, and that we really believe that our programming will be able to provide customers in your area with positive, solution-oriented programming that they can have in the privacy of their own homes to supplement any programs, recovery-type programs that they might be in. And again, this is just a very powerful, powerful tool that you can provide your customers, and you can help make a difference in people's lives. So we hope we have your blessing in moving forward with our efforts with Access Sacramento.
Okay, thank you very much. As you probably know, we, under the Brown Act, absolutely cannot do anything but listen to you.
Oh, no.
And we can refer this to our executive director, who might be able to give you a recommendation. We could also refer it to Ron Cooper, but you'd have to get answers from them. Okay.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you very much.
Thank you very much.
And I'll get your name and address to those. Ron, you had signed up to speak on an off-agenda item.
Ron Cooper, Executive Director of Access Sacramento. And I just wanted to follow up to Ms. Eddy. Recovery Network did approach Access Sacramento at the request of, or after a discussion with the Comcast and Ruth Blank. And Ms. Eddy made a presentation to our programming committee, which in turn was then discussed at the full board level. And staff and select board members are putting together agenda item for this coming board meeting The question that we're faced with in terms of the recovery network is it's satellite delivered programming from out of county, which per our policies would be on the public access channel 74. Mindful of precedent setting, and this is what the major issue that the board of directors is grappling with. There's much, and I think Ms. Eddy put it well, I mean, there's much to be said in a very positive way about the programming. But 7 days a week, 4 hours a day is a lot of programming to dedicate to a programmer. And so that's what the board is grappling with right now is if we are to say yes to Recovery Network 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, then what do we say to the next group that comes in that wants to deliver satellite programming? And on a public access channel, as you know, we all must be very mindful of whatever choices we make, that indeed, in fairness to all others who may surface, we must have like policy for all. So that's issues that we're grappling with. Some of the suggestions are to seek, for example, treatment, therapy, mental health association groups in Sacramento to, in effect, break out the individual programs within the 4-hour block and be the local provider of those programs delivered by satellite. Another issue is that the programming is scheduled to be, and I excuse myself, I forget exactly, but it's like 6 or 8 weeks of original programming and then some amount of repeating. Well, we have policies that say on public access, if you're doing a program, it must be an original program. That you can't turn in one show and then just repeat it over and over and over again. So these are the issues that we're trying to address, but I want to say again that the Recovery Network has been very open about their intentions and forthcoming with information, and the board feels that the overnight time would be a wonderful time when you stop and think about what happens at 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning, and the Recovery Network folks are saying that would be a perfect time. But then again, we have to grapple with these other issues of precedent for what do we say to the next person. So that's the update. We'll keep you informed.
Thank you very much. And we will then refer this to
I've got a couple of questions I'll follow
Richard
up.
Spasto and to the attorney, because I think Ron is raising some of the correct issues. So, okay, that's the last item on today's agenda. I thank you all very, very much, and with that, we are adjourned.
We'll labor well this weekend.